Welcome to a new video here on the Giant Take YouTube channel. T-minus 2 days until the NFL draft. Giants picking up 5 and 7 for now, unless a trade happens. Darius Slayton gets thrown in a pick somewhere. I don't know. Kadarius Toney apparently not anymore. So we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, you saw the title, description, whatever it is of this video or podcast. New York Giants 7-round mock draft. 4.0 and final. Cutting it here. Capping it at 4. This is it. So we're going to run through it. Try to be as brief as possible as we want you to get your final draft info and our final, take on this stuff. Predictions before the real thing. But stay tuned on the YouTube channel because we're not done yet. Should have a couple videos either during the, after round 1, after round 2, 3. Day 1, day 2, day 3, and probably another video, at least one more before the draft, I think. Hopefully, if everything goes well, you'll have one more video to watch before the draft, if not even more than that. Depends on how we feel. So, with that, Alex, you ready? Let's get into it. Round 1. Oh, that's Alex. I'm Josh, for anyone who's new. Subscribe to the Giant Take YouTube channel. Drop a like for us. And I'm speaking on Alex's words. He's ready. Round 1, pick 5, offensive tackle, Evan Neal, Alabama. 6'7", 350 pounds. If you haven't already, go watch my last video, my New York Giants big board, as I compared Ekwonu, Cross, and Neal and their height difference. It's between Cross and Neal for me. I think Ekwonu's going to go 3 to the Texans, in my opinion, from all the mock drafts I'm seeing. I'm taking it to the real world scenario, and I think that's who the Texans will take. Evan Neal is, I believe, 3 or 2 inches taller than Cross, which also makes him heavier than Cross. Do you like that more in an offensive tackle, to have a wider wingspan but be a little heavier, so maybe he's not as fast? That's something you have to take into consideration, I think. With the Giants, I think it's neck and neck, though, between Cross and Neal for who they like more. Alex?
Yeah, today was interesting, actually. Kind of funny enough, right after I started creating this mock draft, not that this changes anything, the rumors came out that Evan Neal has some health concerns. I put that in quotation marks for anyone. But, a lot of teams apparently are not fazed by it. There are a couple teams that allegedly have taken him off their draft board because of that. But I really don't think it's a big deal. Obviously, we don't know the extent of the injury. We don't know anything. We're not health experts. We're not with the teams. We didn't, test him. We didn't do his physical. We have no idea, right? But from what we hear, apparently it's not going to knock him down too far. In terms of Evan Neal, I'm not going to talk about him a lot because, all these, really high-end prospects, everyone knows about them at this point. If you haven't, you're kind of living under a rock. In terms of Evan Neal, he's got great hand placement. He's a freak athlete. He's huge. He's great in pass protection. He's solid in the run game. Only problem with him, his size, his balance sometimes struggles to get to the second level. But really, it's the size is a positive and also a negative. But Evan Neal, I think, is the most solid tackle in this class.
All right, now moving on to someone I really don't think we, in our other 3, have never mocked here at number 7, Alex. So I want to definitely get your terms on how he got to this pick 7, because I know obviously you ran through this draft. Round 1, pick 7, edge Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. Height 6'5". He weighs 262 pounds. Now, don't get me wrong, a top edge rusher as well in this NFL draft. One of the top 5 in this NFL draft. There's just a lot of edge rushers here. Don't take anything away from Jermaine Johnson. He's a top 10 pick, and he's someone who could definitely fall lower then 8, 9, 10 he gets picked here at 7 by the New York Giants. So, Alex, do you remember the draft and how it got to this point?
Yeah, really what it was here is that Sauce was off the board, I believe, at 4 to the Jets. And I think in this case, you had Kayvon Thibodeau and you had Jermaine Johnson. And I'm kind of going with the narrative that Thibodeau is falling. There was some rumors. I know Zach Rosenblatt pointed this out, that the Giants might actually like Jermaine Johnson more than Kayvon Thibodeau. So I kind of used some of the rumors about how the Jermaine Johnson is one of the favorites for the Jets as well at number 4, and kind of pushed him up my board here and selected him at number 7. Obviously, former Georgia Bulldog, now at Florida State, or was at Florida State, obviously in the draft now. He's got great length and acceleration. He's great against the run. He's got a variety of different pass rushing moves. In terms of his cons, bend is certainly an issue. It's something that you can't really fix, but it's not really one of his strong suits, and his lateral agility is just not the best. He's not exactly explosive laterally, but he's certainly explosive off the line. So, again, a great edge rusher, and like you said, Josh, one of the top 5 in this class.
And 2 things you were talking about there that I just wanted to mention as a whole, you were kind of alluding to it, I just realized, I guess. The first thing, last 3.0, we did trades. We're just going straight here, no trades for this one. Just, I don't know, trying to make it realistic as possible. I don't see the Giants trading out of 5 or 7. I think Joe Schoen really wants to, and there is really no need, I would say, to have 2 first-round picks practically back-to-back from each other. Have one in the front and have one in the end. Try and get draft capital for next year, and I'm sure Schoen is trying to do that. I just don't think they'll find a fit for what they like in order to trade out of those. And maybe they have – I'm sure they might have some trades in the draft, but just what we're doing, it's not happening in this 4.0. And also, like you were kind of saying, Alex, with Thibodeau and Jermaine Johnson, these are our predictions. This is what we want to happen, right? It's a New York Giants mock draft. So for us to take Johnson, that's kind of our prediction that could be what the Giants take there. More than, we like Kayvon Thibodeau, that's why we're putting him there. Anyway, let's move on now. Round 2, pick 36 is safety. Lewis CINE. Is it CINE?
CINE,
I
think.
Out of Georgia. Yeah, we'll go with it. 6'2", 199 pounds. A guy that I feel like is not in these top tier safety lists when you're going through it. Obviously, I know it's 36, so it's a little different story, but you kind of talk about some other guys here. I feel like Kyle Hamilton outshines the rest. But before you get to CINE's name here, hopefully that's right.
Yeah. I think it's CINE, but I don't know. I'm just going to go with it. Whatever.
Go with CINE.
Yeah. What I will say about this safety class, I know a lot of people talk about the edge class. They talk about the tight end class. They talk about the wide receiver class, how deep all these positions are. I think this safety class is the deepest and best at the top. It's the most well-rounded throughout the draft at any position. CINE is an interesting one. He came in to the Giants for a top 30 visit, which I think is indicative of their interest in him. There's a couple other guys here who I've kind of taken the Giants kind of demonstrated interest in them and kind of hypothesized that the Giants may be interested in them. CINE, I think, is a really underrated guy in that amazing Georgia defense. I really like him. Obviously, there's many great safeties in this class. Daxton Hill, Petrie, if you consider him a safety. Kirby Joseph, who I'm a huge fan of. JT Woods. There's so many to name. There's a lot of great safeties in this class. But CINE definitely sticks out because he has a good feel in coverage. He's good in run defense. And, he's got above average awareness, I think. Playing in that Georgia defense definitely helped him a lot. I think it did hide some of his flaws, such as tackling, which I think he will need to improve at the NFL level, and his positioning as well. But as a pure prospect, someone who you can develop, I see him very similar almost to Xavier McKinney coming out of college, similar in terms of what they could do. And I think he'd be a good partner for McKinney in the NFL for the Giants.
And that was my bad, Alex. Completely got it right. It is Lewis CINE. So good job there. It's really roles reversed since we started this podcast, where you were the bad with names guy. Now it's really reversed, and I'm the bad with names guy. Going on to round 3, pick 67. So at this point, remember, no linebacker for the Giants getting taken. So that's what we do here. We address that on the defense. We did safety already. We did edge earlier with Johnson. Linebacker Brian Asamoah out of Oklahoma gets taken by Alex. 6 foot, 226 pounds.
Yeah, Asamoah, another guy who the Giants had in the top 30 visit. They also had a meeting with him at the draft, at the combine, I believe. He is someone who's extremely undersized. Not extremely, he's undersized, which is definitely his biggest detriment. His upper body strength is definitely something that's concerned. He needs to get in the weight room in the offseason before starting his first rookie season in the NFL. But he certainly shows flashes in coverage, whether that be zone or man. And he can really cover players down deep, which I think is really important. And in run defense, he's a great downhill tackler. I think he definitely fits that scheme as a linebacker in the interior. There's some athletic concerns. Not like he's the best athlete. He's not the worst athlete, but in today's NFL where you see all these athletic freak linebackers, he's certainly not one of them, hence why he's in the third round. But Giants, again, showing some interest. I thought this was kind of an interesting connection here, and he was here at pick 67, thought they'd take a bite.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely a good depth piece to add. I think going behind Blake Martinez, Tate Crowder, those guys in the linebacker room is definitely a good they need depth there, and I think he's a good guy to get here in the third round. Someone who has really not changed ever since we've done these mock drafts, and he hasn't for everyone else who's been doing these New York Giants 7-round mock drafts. I would say the player, honestly, Alex, we've heard more about him and the Giants' interest in this running back than we have for the guys in the first round, like NEAL, Cross, Thibodeau. Everyone's like putting this guy to the Giants, who I've been seeing on Twitter and on the internet. That's what it's called. Round 3, pick 81, running back James Cook out of Georgia. We talked about this guy so many times at this point. 5'11", 190 pounds. Yes, I know Gary Brightwell, was a new addition to the Giants. I think it was last year, right? Last year, 2 years ago now. I think they still need a running back there. Brightwell's been only really used in special teams. I know the Giants signed veteran Matt Breida. Saquon Barkley, we don't know how good he's going to be. Cook is a good depth piece here. I mean, how much more can you talk about him, Alex?
Yeah, we've had him in 3 out of the 4 of our 7-round mock drafts. Like I said before, he's a great pass catcher. He's got good athletic traits. He's versatile. Vision's a concern, and pass protection's a concern as well. But if you want to hear more about him, go back to some of our prior mock drafts. Go check those out because we talk a lot more in depth, and especially in the 2.0, which is, I believe, where we had him first. That's definitely where we talk about him most. And then, obviously, it's just kind of filtering from there as we just keep having him at this pick 81. I think it's a good spot for him. But James Cook here, rounding out the third round.
And I feel like he's been also on other teams' draft boards as well. A lot of people, I forget what website I was looking at when they gave the running back rankings. They projected him in the 4th round as a 4th-round running back, but I think he will get in the 3rd round just by how many teams.
There's got to be some good genetics there, being Dalvin Cook's brother. I mean,
yeah, you're completely right. I think it's just there's going to be a lot of interest from teams, so I think he's going to get snagged earlier than he's projected on those boards. Next up here, I feel like this has been a consistent tight end slot for you, Alex. Round 4, pick 112. It's just been different by week to week, or by mock draft to mock draft. I know once it was Jelani Woods, once it from Virginia, I believe. One time it was the guy from, was it the Ohio State? Was it Jeremy Ruckert?
Yeah, Ruckert, yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy Ruckert. And now we're switching it up again for you. Tight end Cade Otton, out of Washington.
No idea. Otton, yeah.
Yeah, we'll try Otton. Sounds cooler to me. 6'5", 250 pounds.
Yeah, Otton's an interesting one. Another guy who's met with the Giants. I don't know in what capacity. It wasn't really labeled, but he did meet with the Giants in some capacity. He's got good size. He's a very, very good route runner. That's kind of his thing. He's great route runner. He's versatile. He can catch in traffic, and that's definitely one of his big abilities. He's not going to make those outstanding catches, but when you throw the ball to him in a busy area, he will come down with it. In terms of what he has in his cons, he's a limited power in blocking, in run blocking in particular. It's not exactly ideal, but again, something that I guess you can get in the weight room and practice once you get to those nice NFL gyms. And then poor athleticism. I believe he ran close to a 4.8 40, which is obviously not terrible, but it's not great. And he doesn't really have great agility either. So he's not going to be a guy who runs 50 yards after the catch.
Yeah, Alex, hey, don't disrespect those college gyms. They're pretty freaking nice. So
yeah, they are. I know. I'm just joking.
And another position here that the Giants need depth at, just because the Evan Ingram signed with another team, the Jaguars, right? And then you have Kyle Rudolph getting cut, and the guy behind him, oh my gosh, this is going to annoy me to get to his name. Caden Smith getting cut. Great job there. So now we have Ricky Seals-Jones, and the Giants recently signed Jordan Akins to kind of come in and, I guess, compete with Ricky Seals-Jones and whoever we think the Giants will draft in round 4, apparently, tight end. Round 5 now, pick 147, guard Thayer MUNFORD out of Ohio State. 6'6", 321 pounds. So a big guy, but definitely not, doesn't weigh as much as tackles at his size, I would say. 321 is pretty light, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's an interesting one. Some have him projected at tackle, some have him projected at guard. Obviously 6'6", a bit tall for a guard, but I think it could work in the NFL, and I think he is projected to be a guard, and that's kind of where we saw him at his workout at Ohio State's Pro Day. Interesting one here. He was working with Bobby Johnson. If you actually go check out the Giants' life, not that I'm like giving them free promotion, but whatever.
Yes, I was going to ask that.
Yeah, in the Giants' life, they do
episode,
like the Giants
video.
The episode thing. They showed like a 2-minute clip of Bobby Johnson at Ohio State's Pro Day, and he actually pointed at him in the video and said, "You certainly helped yourself out," to MUNFORD. So I thought that was like, wow, kind of interesting. They had some calls with him as well, meetings, and I think the Giants are certainly interested. He kind of projects in this 5th round area. He's got powerful hands. He's versatile. He can play really all 4 spots if you needed him to, I think, on the offensive line besides center. He's got good play strength as well. Maybe won't show that on the bench, but in game on tape, he has great strength. In terms of his cons, he's a much better run blocker than he is a pass protector, so that's something he's going to have to work on. And his inconsistent footwork will hurt him in the NFL if he doesn't get that fixed up.
All right, I was trying to find the unmute button there. Let's go to the next guy here, round 5, pick 173. Are we talking about basketball here, or are we talking about football? Which one is it? I had to make that. That's like such a dad joke right there. Guard Chris Paul out of Tulsa, 6'4", 323 pounds.
Yeah, he's a funny one because another guy who was mentioned in Giants' life, not this past episode, but it was like maybe at the Senior Bowl or something, where you could see Joe Shane talking about, he was like, I scouted a guy named Chris Paul from the NBA and someone else. There's another guy who's named after an NBA player too. But Chris Paul, another guy who's kind of like a guard/tackle. I have him as a guard. Some people have him as a tackle. He's got great strength in the run game. He's got a nasty streak, which is something you can't really teach. That's really good. His lateral quickness isn't really good. His speed rush, he's susceptible to speed rush. When there's some really fast pass rushers coming at him, especially when he's playing tackle, he just gets blown apart. And that's something that you're definitely going to need to be aware of when you are drafting him, hence why he's a 5th round offensive lineman. But certainly interesting, and obviously the namesake makes it fun.
All right, so moving on to the final pick here, and I feel like this has been consistently wide receivers. Round 6, pick 182. Wide receiver MAKAI POLK out of Mississippi State, 6'3", 200 pounds. I feel like round 6, at least in one of these, was Bo Melton out of Rutgers, right? So switch it up here with the wide receivers.
Yeah, I got to this point and I really wanted a wide receiver. And this is kind of one of those like big reach picks because all the wide receivers were off the board. I was like, what's going on? I had like Velus Jr. out of Tennessee in one. I had Bo Melton, like you mentioned, Josh, in one of the mocks. And in here, I'm looking at the board and I'm like, uh-oh. But MAKAI POLK, I thought, was the best out of all the options available. I really wanted a wide receiver. 6'3", he's got the height. He's got reasonably good quickness. He's not going to be fast. He's not going to burn you over the top. He's not quick. I believe he ran close to a 4.6 at the combine. In terms of his versatility, he does have that, right? He can play in the slot. He can play on the outside. And his hands at times are an issue. Drops are certainly an issue. But again, you're looking at a round 6 guy. Has some upside because of his height, because of his catching radius. So I thought, why not take a chance on him with the last pick?
All right, so with that, it wraps up the New York Giants 4.0 mock draft. We hope you enjoyed this video. Again, stay tuned on the YouTube channel for content throughout this time up to the draft in a couple days and the draft and even past that, as we will have recaps of the picks and talk about it for the next month or so. It's going to be a big one. Giants fans have been looking forward to this since, probably November. So it's a big deal here. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and hit us in the comments with what you think of the mock draft. Also, check out those links in the description for places to follow us on other platforms, social media. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.